Welcome back, blade fans. Yes, this old sword is with you once again. We've got a new knife on the table today. It is so special, I'm going to call it a Grail knife. It's not a full custom, no, but it does come from this company, which is known for near custom-made knives, some knives that you can't tell the difference. And it is from a noted maker. So here's the card that came with it. For authenticity, there are the specs. It's number 328. It was created in June of 2023. This was a purchase from Knife Center, and I looked recently, a week after receiving the knife, not even, and they're no longer available. They're called discontinued, but there were several models of this knife. Let's not leave you staring at the padded case, and it's a nice padded case, and I'll spare you the bubble wrap that it was wrapped in and all the other details, but I did put it back in this really lovely red microfiber cloth, and it was kind of a neat unveiling for me to go through in revealing it to myself. And there we have it. This is the Eagle Rock, and I was calling it the Rock Eagle, thinking maybe that was a type of eagle. I kept switching those words around, and finally I landed on the fact that, yeah, the card said it, and so did the Knife Center, Eagle Rock. And I think Eagle Rock is a place in the U.S. I think it's in the South. I think it might even be in Georgia. I'm not sure. If you know, let me know. I probably could have researched it. Well, let's take a look at what we've got. We've got a Bob Terzuola design of his original tactical folder. And this particular iteration of it, and there are about 3 or 4 different ones in different price points. I've seen this one for as much on Arizona Custom Knives. Someone's selling one for $900 something. Well, this came in at $550 at Knife Center, and I saw it on other sources about the same time for about $90 more. So not sure. Maybe Knife Center. They did say this came from the Blade Show 2023, so it could have been they picked it up at the Custom Knife Factory table for a little bit less. Titanium bolsters, heavily stonewashed, red and black carbon fiber. I don't know if you can fully appreciate the beautiful detail in that carbon fiber. Full back spacer, also titanium. Here we go. There's a thumb disc. And there you have a ginormous knife of about a 4.3 inch or so blade. We're going to measure it up. I was thinking of giving you the factory specs on it, but it's fun measuring, so why not? Got very smooth transition there between the carbon fiber and the bolster. It is a titanium liner lock. So although, you know, it could very well have ended up being a frame lock, it is not. So that liner is protected from any movement. What do we have here but Timascus pivot surrounds on both sides? Very cool. Nice little color offset to kind of a grayish blade and titanium. I do like the stonewash. I didn't think I was going to. And the ones that had the satin were a good bit more. So we went with, at Poetic We, I went with the stonewash because I think it's really businesslike. At the same time, it's a very artful knife. And it is heavy. It's over 6 ounces. really effective short ramp of jimping there. That is useful jimping. And we know Bob Terzuola designs knives that are both artful as well as extremely useful. There's his fuller, and there is a interesting compound grind. Both flat grinds, there's no hollow. Near as I can tell, that they're both flat. One being much higher than the other. So on the portion where you need to do fine cutting, you've got the higher grind. On the portion where you may be doing more forceful cuts, maybe chopping and whatnot, you've got a very, very shallow grind. I want to read you a little bit about Custom Knife Factory, because, you know, there have been some reviews on this knife and some of them weren't so nice. And I'll go out on a limb and say that some reviewers, when they just act like a big expert and pan a knife and say, this is no good and that's no good, I think they're talking more about exalting themselves than they are about giving an honest review to a knife. They may be telling you they're giving you an honest review, and maybe they truly feel they are. But I think, you know, in this business, the ego gets involved a little more often than not. And I try to keep mine to the side. We've all got an ego. I have my pride. Other people have their pride. But, you know, just to see the way some people go off, and it kind of sets the tone for everybody else. Everybody's saying, hey, does that knife have this problem? Does it have that problem? And I've seen this so many times with people that just come right out and just bash a knife. But this copy is perfect. I have no problems with it, and I'll go over some of the details about that speculation in a moment. So the Custom Knife Factory, hailing from Moscow in the heart of Russia, Custom Knife Factory specializes in old world craftsmanship using high-tech materials and techniques, and so on and so forth. They've been doing this since 2012. The way I'm hearing it is some of the parts are made in China, probably by a very high-end company. Maybe I'm thinking Reich, one of those. And then they are assembled and hand-tuned in Russia. And they are using materials that come both from the U.S. as well as some of the bowler steels. This is an S90V. Give you that in a moment. The interesting thing here is a long blurb about Bob Terzuola. And his most popular model is the ATCF, which this is one of the models of. This was his first tactical folding knife, although he makes it with non-tactical materials, other knife models that Bob is popular for, and he goes on to talk about that. But one of the things I noticed in the description at Arizona Custom Knives was that he heavily stonewashed his very first ATCF. So I think that's kind of cool. This one is really replicating what he was doing with his originals, although I don't think his originals were quite this large. And how large is that? Well, let's find out. We've got an overall length of 9 3/4, going to call it 9.8. Got a blade length of 4.35, cutting edge of just a little over 4 1/4. We've got a handle thickness in inches, not too bad for a big boy, 0.61. Got a blade stock right here of 0.14 or 3.7 millimeters. So it's not massively thick, which is interesting. Now, drop shut out of the box. What more or less would you expect for a knife on bearings? We'll see if I can find exactly what kind of bearings in a minute. 6.63 ounces. So there you go. Yes, we said it was a big boy. Take another look at it. Well, I dig up a few more specs here. Drop point S90V, and features a tumbled finish, notched thumb rests, Damascus pivot collars, stonewash bolsters, yada yada. And I'm not finding what I was looking for. No worries. So, what you're going to hear about from a couple other reviewers, one notably, is that you can move the blade from side to side, and it might make a little clicking sound if you press it all the way over. Well, that's not unusual for a 4.35-inch blade with extremely tight tolerances, as you can see. Extremely perfectly even all the way through. There, as your grind goes down there, it comes perfectly to the end without anything to catch your thumb there. The design, the measurements, the execution on this guy were just perfect. There's Custom Knife Factory's logo. Elephant in the room. Heavily branded clip. Might turn you off. $55 and you can buy at, I believe it's NC Knife. You can get a plain clip. You're going to need to take it off from the inside and basically undo the knife in order to get that clip off. Not a big deal if you wanted to swap it out. But for a knife you're already spending this much on, you want to swap the clip out and add another $50. Maybe you do. Looking inside, again, we have titanium liners. Interestingly enough, they might have hardened. Nope, didn't have to. That's what I was looking for. There's your hardened steel insert in the liner. So you have a hardened steel, unhardened steel from the blade, exactly as it should be done, beautifully executed. And yes, there is weight relieving galore. There's bridge work inside, not the kind they put in your mouth either. So especially, yeah, particularly on one side of the knife, on the show side, we have lots of relieving, cut right through the liner. And on the other side, we have some light milling in the same sort of pattern. So still at that, we have over a 6-ounce knife, but it feels pretty lively in the hand for the size. And I think the balance is right there, right where that little notch is for your thumb. Ah, beautiful. I haven't oiled or lubed this. A little bit of KPL possibly will make it a little bit smoother. Haven't been breaking it in too much. Haven't carried it yet. I know, might be a safe clean, you never know. Nice muted flipper tab, but it comes right out. Nice thumb disc to snap it out with, or if you wish, to simply roll it out. Now, here's another large knife that I really like a lot, the Corvus 3 by Max Ace. And the Corvus 3 is a big, long knife, but still falling at least an inch short overall of the Eagle Rock. With the blade, about a ½ inch shorter, maybe. Let's see. Probably not that much shorter. Got about a 4 1/8 going on with the Corvus 3. So they're pretty close. We've got probably a little more handle happening. We do, for sure, have a little more handle happening with the Eagle Rock. This thing's a regular fingerprint mag. magnet. That's due to those heavily polished zirconium overlays. Very thick, and it is a heavy material. This whole knife, by the way, is considerably heavier than the Eagle Rock. Want to know how much more? 8.5 ounces. So about 2 ounces more. And I would attribute most of that to the zirconium. So we've got that, and then we've got your sort of run-of-the-mill knives. Not that the Griptilian is a bad knife at all. Beautiful little performer. And, well, the Rat 1 wants to come out and make an appearance. What do you think? Yeah, Rat 1's fallen about 1.5 inches shorter overall. Blade, about 1 inch shorter. So yeah, I mean, this is a big Bob Terzuola knife. I had been playing around with maybe getting one of the Italian-made knives from MKM and Lion Steel and maybe Fox, I think, that are much more gentlemanly sized than this one. This is a full blast beast, right about on the order of like your Goliath and Sandstorm and Goliath 1, Goliath 2 from Max Ace, but a narrower blade. Nicely done disc. You may or may not like a disc, which is why you've got a flipper if you don't like the disc. The disc does give some nice options, and it's very nicely, what do you want to call it? Jimped. I don't know if we call it jimping or not. Cross-hatched, whatever. There's a name for it. The old brain can't remember. But it is nicely textured there so that you can pick it up with your finger. I haven't tried middle finger flicking it. I don't think I'm going to be able to do it. Thumb works better. Sorry, folks. And comes through with, I would call it a very decent edge. I'm not going to do any paper cutting with this guy. S90V, I think they're talking over 60 Rockwell. I don't know that I had a Rockwell spec on it or not. As far as the info that was coming to me through Arizona Custom Knives, they are not giving a Rockwell. I don't think the Custom Knife Factory is going to go soft on their materials, but you might contest that. You may know better. Nicely chamfered where it should be on all the edges, including the handle. Fairly heavily branded. May or may not like that. This shows up less on the stonewash than it did on some of the other clips. The black clip with the white lettering was pretty strong. I'm not sure how they put this on, whether it's lasered in or not, but I was even wondering if it could be lightened up a little bit with something like acetone, but I'm not going to try it. Leave it as it is for now. It's a knife I hadn't expected to get, but I did, and I wanted to get something in, you know, with a little higher range, a little more prestige, and I think this is it. I think I'm very close here to, you know, a Bob Terzuola custom, even though his customs, if it was going to be something like this, it'd probably be around $2,000 or maybe even more. Who knows? But there you have it. I hope you enjoyed this. Been meaning to do this review now for a few days. It's Father's Day today, so All you dads out there, happy Father's Day. Enjoy, kick up, rest a bit. You'll be back to work soon enough. Take care. See you soon.